Hello fun people, I'm Isaac Carlson, and today we are diving under the sea to determine whether or not King Triton and Ursula are brother and sister. You see, the idea that the ruler of the sea and the ocean's most notorious sea witch were related was initially discussed during the creation of the original film. While I had never even considered that they could have been related, the original reason that Ursula had been in Atlantica's palace before her banishment was because she was King Triton's sister. At least that was intended to be explained during an extended opening of the film's first song, Fathoms Below.
King Triton's their ruler.
He's got 7 fair daughters.
And a witch of a sister named Ursula.
But once Fathoms Below was shortened, Triton and Ursula's relationship was never actually established in the original film, which then led to a variety of varying explanations for how they knew each other before she was exiled. In the book My Side of the Story, Ursula claimed she had romantic feelings for King Triton, which would have been really weird if they were actually siblings. And in Kingdom Hearts, they claim Ursula was once a fortune teller in the palace. Also in the Little Mermaid series, the establishment of entities who resemble Ursula, called octopuns, could indicate she might not even be a mer person, meaning she could be a completely different species than King Triton. The octopuns might just be a variation of the mer people, but it's just not very clear. But in the novel Poor Unfortunate Soul, A Tale of the Sea Witch, the idea that Ursula is Triton's sister is preserved, but instead of them growing up together, she actually was King Triton's long-lost sister, and when they are reunited, he's disgusted by her octopus form along with many of the other members of Atlantica's high class. I kind of like this idea that it was part Triton's own issues with his sister that antagonized her to the point of her seeking revenge against him, but it doesn't really feel like him. While Triton had a mistrust towards humans, he had a very strong attachment to his family, so I really can't imagine him turning his back on his sister purely because of the way she looked. And that's exactly what the Little Mermaid Broadway show explains. You see, most of the early explanations for how Ursula and Triton were connected that didn't involve them being related came out after The Little Mermaid was released in 1989 and before The Little Mermaid Broadway show came out in 2007. Now, to me, the Broadway versions of animated films feel like the best live-action depictions of these stories that we'll ever get, with remarkable talent taking on the roles of these iconic characters, the ability for the same composers and artists to develop many more songs for the show, and a longer runtime to explore more characters and ideas. For me, the Broadway shows are the ultimate way to expand an animated musical. That's why I wish we could get more recordings of these shows on Disney Plus so they can be appreciated so much more, like how we got a recording of Hamilton. All that to say though, to me the Broadway shows feel like canonical extensions of the original story, especially since they have a lot more oversight on them compared to storybooks, novels, or licensed video games, meaning I think the Little Mermaid musical provides the answers that we've been searching for. And in this version of the story, the creators chose to explicitly portray Triton and Ursula as siblings. In the song I Want the Good Times Back, we learn that when their father died, he divided the kingdom between the two of them. At the time of his death, he also gave Triton his trident and Ursula her magical shell. But of course, she was eventually banished after she enjoyed some disgusting wealth and exquisite sin. Later on, this song was actually replaced with Daddy's Little Angel, which altered Ursula's backstory. Here, Ursula was the youngest of 7 sisters and was despised by her father, who was named to be Poseidon. The only reason she got a magical shell here was to ease her father's conscience for ignoring her. Out of jealousy, Ursula murdered her 6 older sisters to become queen before her younger brother Triton, as the only male heir, took the throne for himself when he came of age. And the idea of Ursula being Poseidon's daughter would later be carried over and used in the show Once Upon a Time. Now, when we get to whether or not Triton is older than Ursula, or how many other siblings do they have beyond each other, or whether or not they share the same mother, that's where the legends begin to branch off depending on what song or story or performance you look at. But since Daddy's Little Angel is the backstory that's being shared around the world today, that's the story I'm looking to the most for answers, while I continue to also acknowledge the rest of the Little Mermaid story in the sequels. Like, Up until now, I haven't talked at all about Ursula's sister Morgana from The Little Mermaid 2, but I think her existence definitely plays into the backstory we were given. At least it can. Maybe Ursula and Morgana only share the mother Morgana speaks about, which was why Morgana didn't have as much magic as her sister, and why Ursula wouldn't have needed to end her life to ascend to the throne. Not only was Morgana her younger sister, but she also may have had no ability to rise to be queen because her father wasn't Poseidon. I think it would make a lot of sense that the daughter Poseidon was ashamed of arose outside of his marriage with the goddess of the sea, Amphitrite, leading to a child that looked vastly different from the rest of the mer people in Atlantica. Triton, on the other hand, was a spitting image of his grandfather Neptune as seen in the Little Mermaid series, and was strong, powerful, and responsible, so of course, while Ursula may have been seen as a mistake and a problematic child, Triton would most likely have been looked at as the true king. I believe Triton and Ursula went down different paths because they had different mothers and were treated differently by their father, leading to Ursula's rage, resentment, and hatred to form until she had a massive desire to become the ruler of the sea. But let me know your thoughts about whether you think Ursula and Triton are siblings down in the comments or over on my Discord, which you can gain access to by joining our community over on Patreon. If you're new here, consider subscribing, and of course, thanks for watching and have a magical day.